She was already 10 years old, yet she couldn't even dress herself. Her parents had never truly cared about her. From the moment Mary was born, she was handed over to servants, and that upbringing shaped her into a spoiled, bossy child. Even when a sudden accident took both her parents' lives, she didn't shed a single tear. Just like that, Mary became an orphan and was sent back to England. What she didn't know was that her life was about to change completely. A group of children stood in line, waiting for their families to pick them up. When it was Mary's turn, the staff called her name several times, but no one answered. It wasn't until night fell and everyone else had left that Mrs. Medlock finally arrived. She was the housekeeper of the estate, sent by Mary's uncle to bring her home. Mary's aunt had died during childbirth 10 years earlier, leaving Mr. Craven devastated and rarely present at the manor. The housekeeper warned Mary in advance. Mr. Craven has a terrible temper. He won't see you, and he won't care much about you either. But Mary clearly didn't understand her situation. She behaved just as she always had, ordering the housekeeper to dress her. Seeing her arrogant attitude, the housekeeper didn't indulge her at all, instead sternly telling her to stay in her room. Mary was furious and had no choice but to try putting on her shoes herself. Just then, she thought she heard faint crying. She quietly slipped out of the room and followed the sound. The old mansion felt eerily silent, with spider webs covering the stairways. As she walked on, she came to a sealed-off room. On the vanity were photos of her aunt and mother, along with small items identical to her mother's. Mary immediately understood that this had been her aunt's room. Inside a jewelry box, there lay a strange-looking key. Just as she was about to keep searching for the crying, she suddenly ran into the housekeeper heading out. Startled, the housekeeper quickly dragged her back to her room and ordered her never to wander again. After the housekeeper left, a maid named Martha brought her food. She worked under the housekeeper and only occasionally looked after Mary. The moment Mary saw her, she instinctively ordered her to dress her. Martha found her rather charming, smiling as she asked which outfit she wanted. Despite Mary's cold attitude, Martha kept chatting happily, smiling as she helped her get ready. One day, while wandering the garden, Mary noticed something hidden deep behind the walls. It looked like a mysterious garden, but the walls were covered in ivy, with no visible entrance. She asked the old gardener she passed by, and he told her that after the lady of the house died 10 years ago, the garden had been sealed shut. That only made Mary more curious. What exactly was hidden inside? The next day, Mary skipped rope in the garden and saw the old gardener again. He told her that the bird wanted to be her friend. Following the robin's guidance, Mary finally discovered the garden entrance hidden behind thick vines. She secretly returned to her aunt's room, took the key, and to her surprise, it opened the garden gate. When Mary stepped inside, the garden was overgrown and completely abandoned. But beneath the desolation, she noticed a small patch of living green. Mary felt excited. After returning to the manor, she thought she heard crying again. She asked Martha, but Martha told her it was just the wind. That day, as Mary prepared to go to the garden, a crow suddenly flew straight at her. The crow belonged to a young boy. Mary recognized him as Dickon, Martha's brother. Dickon had a natural ability to communicate with animals. He removed Mary's gloves and told her to feel the animals with her bare hands. Then he took her to the secret garden.
This garden's not dead. It's as live as you or me.
Seeing the living greenery there, Mary felt motivated. She began waking up early every day to clear weeds with Dickon. One night, Mary heard the crying again. She held up a lamp and followed the sound, and in one room she saw a young boy. His name was Colin, the son of Mary's uncle. Because he was born prematurely, his body was very weak. Fearing that sunlight carried harmful germs, his father had nailed wooden boards over every window. Colin believed he wouldn't live long and feared he would grow a hump like his father. He ordered Mary to put on a mask, but she became angry.
Put on the mask. Stop talking to me as if you were a Raja, with emeralds and diamonds and rubies stuck all over you.
The two began arguing. Suddenly, the servants entered the room, performing their usual routine of massaging Colin's legs. Martha noticed Mary hiding under the bed and quickly urged her to escape because the young master's room was forbidden. As Mary stepped into the hallway, she heard a commotion. It turned out Mr. Craven had returned. The moment he saw Mary, he froze. Her eyes looked exactly like his late wife's. The housekeeper suggested sending Mary to school, but Mary didn't want to go anywhere. All she wanted was a small piece of land where she could plant things herself. Craven agreed, unwilling to face painful memories. He left the manor again that very night. Mary finally had land of her own. She scattered seeds everywhere, planting every flower she wanted. She also began visiting Colin every day, but the two hot-tempered children constantly argued over the smallest things.
I'll clench my teeth together and never tell you one thing. Not even about seeing your father.
Colin grew increasingly depressed. He believed his father never came to see him and thought he wasn't loved. What he didn't know was that his father did love him, just too deeply. To protect him, Craven could only, late at night, hold up a small lamp and quietly watch him from outside the door. Day by day, the seeds Mary planted began to sprout. Everything was slowly moving towards something better.
You cut me open enough, and it's draining on me. Though they found it hard to believe, I'll be wearing these scars for everyone.
That day, Mary did something huge. While no one was paying attention, she tore down every wooden board that sealed Colin's windows. Long-lost sunlight flooded in, lighting up the room that had been shut away for years. But Colin was utterly terrified. He threw himself to the floor, burst into tears, and began thrashing hysterically. The servants rushed in at the noise, yet none of them could calm him down. Mary climbed onto a chair and shouted at him, "You are not sick at all." But Colin kept crying uncontrollably. At that moment, the housekeeper hurried in, furious beyond measure, and immediately tried to throw Mary out of the manor. Right then, Colin suddenly snapped. He realized that he truly, desperately wanted to go outside. He wheeled himself forward and ordered everyone. No one was allowed to follow. At last, the three children gained their freedom. They raced toward the garden, laughing wildly as they ran. For the first time, Colin truly saw the world beyond his room. He slowly opened his eyes, and the sight before him took his breath away. It was unbelievably beautiful, exactly as he had always imagined. Colin trembled with excitement. He reached out to touch the deer, and silently swore to himself that he would come back here again. Mary and Dickon were busy clearing weeds when the old gardener suddenly appeared. The moment he saw Colin, he froze in shock.
That's not crooked.
No!
And you haven't got crooked legs.
Who said I had crooked legs? Nobody ever said that.
Colin refused to give in. He pressed his hands against the wheelchair, pushed hard with both legs, and tried to stand up. He wobbled for a long time on the verge of collapsing again, but in the very next second, he actually stayed upright. The gardener was completely stunned. Overwhelmed, he told Colin, "I used to be the gardener here. Your mother loved this place more than anything. So even after she passed away and the garden was locked, I would still sneak back from time to time to look after it."
You'll know how to keep a secret. Come aside. Be quick.
Oh, laddie. Yes, sir. Right away, sir.
Just like that, the children's secret gained one more adult guardian. With the help of his two friends, Colin tried standing again. This time, he managed to take several steps at once. He grew more skilled and more confident. Finally, they couldn't hold back anymore. They hugged each other, cheered at the top of their lungs, and celebrated his victory. But because they played wildly in the garden every day, Colin's activity level increased sharply, and his legs began to swell. The uninformed housekeeper assumed his condition was worsening. She forced him to cool down and refused to tell him where his father had gone. In a fit of anger, she even locked Mary in her room, ordering her never to lead the young master astray again. What no one expected was that the room hid a secret passage. The three children continued sneaking out of the manor, running freely through the night. They danced around a bonfire, laughing wildly, like children who had never been restrained. That same night, Mr. Craven had a strange dream. In the dream, his late wife gently said to him, "A gift is waiting for you in the garden." When he woke up, he immediately set off at full speed, rushing back to the manor as fast as he could. At that moment, the three children were playing hide and seek in the garden, and it was Colin's turn to cover his eyes. Craven stood not far away, his face filled with disbelief. His child was standing, and even more than that, he had learned how to smile. Colin felt his way toward the man in front of him and said in confusion, "This doesn't seem like one of my friends." He hurriedly pulled off the blindfold. Standing before him was the father he had longed to see countless times. Colin excitedly grabbed his father's hand, proudly introducing the garden to him. But as Mary watched this scene, she quietly ran off. This girl, who never cried, for the first time, learned how to shed tears. Craven solemnly thanked Mary. It was she who had slowly pulled this broken family back onto the right path. He told Mary not to be afraid, that he would never close the garden again. From this day forward, Mary was his child too. The three of them embraced tightly, and at that moment, all the servants stood frozen. They had never seen their master smile so warmly. Mr. Craven's face was filled with a smile he had never worn before.